Hi, everybody. I just wanted to share with you this really amazing new modality that I'm bringing on board into my existing modalities. I am creating an internal family systems coaching container to share with my clients. And for those of you who have heard of internal family systems, there is internal family systems therapy, or IFS therapy. And there's also a kind of a new emerging thing called IFS coaching. And so what I'm going to be doing is IFS coaching, and I'm really excited to share it. So it's going to be a coaching container for people using internal family systems to help them to accomplish whatever their goal is. It can be anything from your normal coaching stuff like, uh, you know, money stuff, financial situations, romance stuff. It can also be emotional things where you're struggling with something emotionally, or you're feeling really stuck, or maybe depressed, or having a lot of anxiety. You can also use it for spiritual purposes to help you to connect in with aspects of yourself that you might be struggling with, like your intuitive abilities. So you can use IFS coaching in a really cool way to support you. For those of you who don't know what internal family systems is, I'm going to just spend a couple of minutes talking about it really briefly. So it's a style of therapy that sees that we all have this internal family system made of all these different parts. And I guess you could call them sub-personalities. So we're made up of all these different sub-personalities, but in IFS we call them parts. That work like a family unit. So much like you have a mother or father, sister, brother, aunties, uncles, people maybe you don't really like very much in your family, your internal family system is the same. It's got all of these different parts, and some of them are very helpful, supportive, and loving, while other parts can be not so much. They can disrupt the whole system. And they'll do that because when we have trauma, what happens is we create a part more often than not that tries to protect us from that original wounding. So they'll suppress these protectors, is what we call them, will suppress and exile a part of us that has had a deep wounding so that we don't have to feel that feeling. The irony is a lot of times when we have protectors, while they can be really supportive of us, meaning sometimes we really need to not feel something in the moment, what happens is that parts can get a little bit out of control and kind of take over the whole system, so that when you want to start healing or working on a specific issue, like maybe you have some childhood trauma, it's impossible to, because you get overwhelmed by anxiety or addiction, depression. You can get distracted really easily. There's all kinds of different things that parts can do to make sure that you don't feel the original feeling, even create a lot of anxiety and fear, so that you don't feel the original fear that may be around a specific experience. So the focus of IFS is to really identify and understand and acknowledge parts to create harmony within the system. So it's also going to really incredibly helpful to help people to recognize that all of the aspects of themselves matter, even the ones that may be causing some trouble or shenanigans, and they've been trying to rein those parts of themselves in for a really long time, but it hasn't really worked, and so they're struggling or they're really, really stuck. So IFS can help you get unstuck by getting to know, appreciate, and also teach your parts that may be struggling how to work within the system while being acknowledged for their hard work they've been doing all this time, trying to support you in the only way that they knew how. Parts to me are like you've got a bunch of kids running around your house that you don't know and you've never met, and nobody's listening to you. And they're all just running around trying to do their own thing and take care of their own business. And it's almost like there's no adult in the house. There's an adult in the house, but the adult is going, excuse me, guys, excuse me. And nobody's listening or paying attention, and it's chaos. So quite often we can have a system that is in a bit of chaos. So once we start to increase our self-energy and strengthen that up and start to acknowledge our parts, start to talk to them, get to know them, and work with them to find good solutions so that they get on board with the program, then everything starts to shift in your life. And I recognized that there's a really deep need for this in my practice as a healer, because we deal a lot with the body and the mind and the spirit. But a lot of times when we find deep trauma, we're working from an energetic perspective to release the emotional energy, but we don't really work on the why. Like why did this happen? And so I think that the why part of it is something that's been missing in my practice for a while. So this is a great way for us to look at the why in a really safe way and start to integrate energy or parts that are in our being, in our system, that need more love, that need more support, and that can actually be a very valuable part of your internal workings. So the difference between doing IFS therapy and doing coaching is that with therapy, you're getting to know your parts and you're acknowledging feelings and, looking at where feelings may be coming from. You're identifying parts and things like that. With IFS coaching, this is more about self-therapy. And so, what we're doing is we're taking the whole system of IFS and adding, we're like bridging the mental and emotional approach, like therapy, with actionable steps, like in coaching. So there's an integration of internal and external dimensions, which can sometimes be missing in some internal family systems therapy. So it goes a step further to go ahead and integrate those two parts of you, that internal and external aspect of you. So it also enhances your self-awareness in a way that, like, there's more of a structural framework to navigate your internal system. And an IFS coach is going to teach you how to do that, as well as walk you through the process of meeting your parts and that sort of thing. In the way that we do it is really going to increase your self energy and your ability to be able to be a mentor to yourself, as opposed to always having to go with internal family systems therapy, sometimes you're having to see a therapist for 6, 7, 8 months. When you do an IFS coaching container, it's anywhere from 45 days to 3 months. And so it takes a lot less time, but you also come away with some amazing tools. I'm sorry, there is just bugs out here jumping on me. And for any of you, you know me, I'm not a big fan of the bugs. So I'm just really excited to share it with you. And I wanted to share with you what internal family systems is, in case you didn't know. There's lots of great material online. I plan on writing an article. If you're watching this and you haven't found an article yet, it will be there soon. And I am going to start taking clients in November of 2024. So I'm very excited about it, and I can't wait to share this with you, and I think you're going to love it.